The year was 1914. Europe was a continent on edge. Nationalism and imperialism had created a powder keg. On June 28th, a spark ignited the fuse. In Sarajevo, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated. He and his wife were shot by Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist. The assassination sent shockwaves through Europe. Austria-Hungary was furious. They blamed Serbia for the assassination. They saw an opportunity to crush Serbian nationalism. The world held its breath. Would this be the start of something bigger? The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was a tragedy. It was also a pivotal moment in history. It set in motion a chain of events that would lead to the deadliest war the world had ever seen. The world was about to change forever. Austria-Hungary wanted revenge. They also saw a chance to assert their dominance over Serbia. They issued Serbia an ultimatum. The demands were harsh and intentionally designed to be unacceptable to the Serbs. Serbia was given 48 hours to comply. The ultimatum was humiliating. It demanded that Serbia allow Austria-Hungary to conduct its own investigation into the assassination. It also required Serbia to suppress all anti-Austrian propaganda. Serbia, a proud nation, faced an impossible choice. The Austro-Hungarian ultimatum was a diplomatic blunder. It was a deliberate provocation designed to provoke a war. It was a classic case of using a small incident to justify a larger aggression. The world watched and waited to see how Serbia would respond. Germany was Austria-Hungary's most powerful ally. They pledged their unconditional support to Austria-Hungary. This became known as the blank check. Germany's Kaiser Wilhelm II urged Austria-Hungary to take a hard line with Serbia. He assured them that Germany would back them up, no matter the cost. Germany's blank check emboldened Austria-Hungary. It made them more confident in their aggressive stance towards Serbia. Germany's assurance of support was a key factor in Austria-Hungary's decision to issue the ultimatum. It was a decision that would have disastrous consequences. Germany's blank check was a reckless gamble. It was a sign of Germany's growing militarism and their desire for a European war. It showed their willingness to risk a wider conflict to support their ally. This decision would come back to haunt them. Russia was a powerful Slavic nation. They had a strong interest in the Balkans. They were also a protector of Serbia. They could not stand idly by while Austria-Hungary bullied Serbia. Russia began to mobilize its army, a clear warning to Austria-Hungary. Russia's mobilization was a defensive measure. They were trying to deter Austria-Hungary from attacking Serbia. However, it was also a risky move. It raised the stakes and increased the danger of a wider European war. The situation was becoming increasingly tense. Russia's mobilization was a turning point. It transformed the conflict from a regional dispute into a potential European war. It set in motion a chain reaction that would soon engulf the entire continent. The world watched in horror as the crisis spiraled out of control. The alliance system, a house of cards. Europe in 1914 was a complex web of alliances, intricately woven over the years of political maneuvering and strategic planning. These alliances were meant to prevent war by creating a balance of power. Ironically, they helped to make war inevitable by binding nations to each other's fates. Germany was allied with Austria-Hungary, forming a powerful central bloc. On the other hand, Russia was allied with France, creating a formidable counterbalance. Great Britain was allied with France and Russia, forming the Triple Entente. The alliance system was a house of cards, delicately balanced but inherently unstable. If one nation went to war, it would inevitably drag in its allies, creating a domino effect. This created a dangerous situation where a single spark could ignite a global conflict. A small conflict could quickly escalate into a major war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo had set this dangerous system in motion, triggering a chain reaction. The alliance system was a product of fear and mistrust among nations. It was a symptom of the deep political and social divisions that existed in Europe at the time. It was a system that was doomed to fail from the start, and fail it did, with catastrophic consequences that reshaped the world forever. Germany declares war. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. This came after Serbia failed to meet all of the demands of the ultimatum. Germany, true to its word, backed Austria-Hungary. They declared war on Russia on August 1st. Germany's declaration of war was a calculated gamble. They believed that a quick victory over France would force Russia to back down. They underestimated Russia's resolve. They also misjudged the strength of the French and British armies. Germany's declaration of war was a pivotal moment in history. It marked the beginning of World War I, a war that would claim the lives of millions and change the course of the 20th century. The world watched in horror as Europe descended into chaos. France and Britain enter the fray. Germany's declaration of war on Russia triggered a chain reaction that would engulf the entire continent. France, bound by its alliance with Russia, declared war on Germany on August 3rd. The French mobilized quickly, preparing for a conflict that would test their resolve and resources. Great Britain, hesitant at first, declared war on Germany on August 4th after Germany invaded neutral Belgium. The violation of Belgium's neutrality was the tipping point for Britain. Great Britain's entry into the war was decisive. Their powerful navy and vast empire would play crucial roles in the unfolding conflict. It transformed the conflict into a truly global war, drawing in colonies and territories from around the world. It also dashed Germany's hopes for a quick victory. The German strategy of a swift, decisive campaign was now in jeopardy. The war that Germany had started had now spiraled out of their control. The front lines stretched across Europe and the fighting grew more intense. The declarations of war by France and Great Britain marked the beginning of a long and bloody conflict. Alliances were tested and new strategies were devised. The world was now at war, and it would be a war unlike any other. The scale and devastation were unprecedented. The old world was crumbling, and a new, uncertain future was dawning. The impact of this war would be felt for generations to come. A continent at war. Within a week, most of Europe was at war. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire were on one side. They were known as the Central Powers. France, Great Britain, Russia, and their allies were on the other side. They were known as the Allied Powers. The war quickly spread across Europe. German troops marched into Belgium and France. Russian troops invaded Germany and Austria-Hungary. The war that had begun in the Balkans had now engulfed the entire continent. The outbreak of war in Europe sent shockwaves around the world. It was a war on an unprecedented scale, a war that would test the limits of human endurance and reshape the political landscape of the world. The world would never be the same. The Ottomans and the Japanese join in. The Ottoman Empire, hoping to regain lost territory, joined the Central Powers in November 1914. Japan, allied with Great Britain, declared war on Germany in August 1914. They seized German colonies in China and the Pacific. The entry of the Ottoman Empire and Japan into the war expanded the conflict beyond Europe. It became a truly global war, fought on multiple fronts across the globe. The stakes were higher than ever before. The world was now fully engaged in a war that no one had wanted, but that everyone was now fighting. It was a war that would leave an indelible mark on the 20th century and shape the world we live in today. The world at war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand had ignited a global conflict, setting off a chain reaction that would engulf nations far and wide. Within a matter of weeks, a localized dispute had escalated into a world war, drawing in countries from every corner of the globe. The alliance system, designed to prevent war, had instead helped to make it inevitable. Nations were bound by treaties that compelled them to defend each other, turning a regional conflict into a global catastrophe. World War I was a tragedy of epic proportions, leaving behind a trail of destruction and sorrow. It was a war that could have been avoided, a war that claimed the lives of millions and shattered the old world order. Families were torn apart and entire cities were reduced to rubble. It was a war that would forever change the course of history, reshaping borders and altering the destinies of nations. The lessons of World War I are as relevant today as they were a century ago. The sacrifices made and the horrors witnessed serve as a stark reminder of the cost of conflict. The dangers of nationalism, militarism, and unchecked aggression are still with us. These forces, if left unchecked, can lead to devastating consequences. It is up to us to learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards a more peaceful future. By understanding history, we can strive to build a world where such a conflict never happens again. If you wish to comment to our video or like this video or any other videos on this channel, please do. Also, if you wish to learn more about different events that happened through the history, you can subscribe now to our channel. You can be alerted when we release a new video by clicking on this little bell below.